How easy is it to eat a high protein vegan diet if you're out and about or need to pick something up on the way to the office?
We're going to 5 UK supermarkets to show you what we'd pick, and we'll explain our thought process so you can apply it regardless of the stores in your area.
The first thing we noticed about our Sainsbury's, and it's quite a large one, is that there's no like sandwich type options that you get in other places. This is pretty good. Squeaky bean char-grilled peri-peri chicken style fillets. 8.3 grams of fat per 100 grams. But 23 grams of protein, pretty decent, coming from wheat and pea protein. This looks pretty interesting. It's kind of a fried chicken alternative, so of course it's probably been fried. And there is like 50 grams of fat for the whole pack. 50 grams of protein as well. Not something I'd eat with the white breadcrumb coating, but it's nice that it's available for people. This Sainsbury's 4-bean salad has got only 11 grams of fat in the whole thing, but 27 grams of protein. We were quite hopeful for this Higgity vegan quiche. Unfortunately, massive amounts of coconut oil for very little protein. I wouldn't touch coconut oil with a barge pole personally. Tofu obviously is always a great choice. 28 grams of protein in that pack, which is huge. There's 28 grams of fat as well, but oil is the last ingredient, so it's mostly the fat that comes from the beans, so it's a much healthier thing. If you need like a packet rice, maybe you're going to the office or whatever, you can't like steam the rice, maybe you get it on the way. This isn't bad. I mean, there's a little oil in there. You're going to get about 8 grams of fats, but there's also like nearly the same amount of protein, and of course there's a massive amount of starch to bump up your calories as well. So, you know, better to cook your own, but I'll use this in a pinch. Of course, most of those types of options are white rice, so pick the whole grain if you want to be healthy. There's a lot of good brands now, like Merchant Gourmet, have been doing these sort of things for a while. Packet, pre-cooked legumes. 5 grams of fat, 27 grams of protein. There's some nice flavourings as well. And now that these have been doing so well, if you come down here, now supermarkets are doing their own brand. So you've got red and white quinoa is a good source of protein. Chickpeas, of course, lentils. Yeah, amazing stuff. And £1.35. This is going to be a little bit fatty, so not so good for your calories. Of course, if you're trying to be the most healthful, probably it's not good to heat oils up. But anyway, Linda McCartney Vegemite, it's going to be high in protein, 19.2 grams per 100 grams. Oh, actually only 4.7 grams of fat. So yeah, not too bad. Obviously not a whole feed, but if you're trying to go high protein for your bodybuilding needs, not too bad. In order to make up a meal while you're at the office, you can just bung this in the microwave 3.5 to 4 minutes. Obviously just take it out of the plastic. I made a meal out of the squeaky bean peri-peri pieces, microwave rice and microwave veg, and it came out at 675 calories with 39 grams of protein, 87 grams of carbohydrate and 17 grams of fat. You can cross over when nothing's coming. Save your time.
No, don't say it. Don't tell them. Some of this sort of stuff is okay, but they might be a little lower on the protein, so you might need to have like 2 or 3 of them to get your needs.
Super healthy though, eh?
Yeah. So these are pretty good, but this has only got 8 grams of protein, this has got 16. This one's got the most, 20 grams of protein. So we found some of these ready meals. Now this has got as much protein as it is fat, but it's got 20 grams of protein in there. You could serve it with some packet microwave rice or some pre-cooked quinoa. We wouldn't go for any of these creamy options because they're bound to have loads of oil and probably coconut oil. So you can get these roasted legumes in a lot of places now. They're very high in protein, but also very high in fat, and because they're roasted, they're not very healthy.
I added another half pot of edamame beans to the edamame and grain salad. This gave me 525 calories, 32 grams of protein, 61 grams of carbohydrate, and 17 grams of fat. Despite this being a Tesco Express, which is a smaller store, there's loads of grab and go and eat options. So falafel and hummus wraps, no mayo, roasted vegetable hummus and harissa, that'll be a nice flavour. Vegan BLT, plant chef Mexican inspired falafel and rice salad. whole grain wraps. These are marked vegan, 5.5 grams of protein each, so that will soon add up. Refried beans, salsa, and jalapenos. I think burritos might be on the cards. If there's a ripe avocado, that'd make a good addition too. And we'll grab a bag of washed salad so we can just whack that in our burritos, make a nice rounded meal. I made burritos with 3/4 of the can of refried beans, 3 tortillas, half a pot of salsa, and an avocado. This came up to 1,007 calories, 36 grams of protein, 133 grams of carbohydrate, and 35 grams of fat.
There wasn't much by way of vegan sandwiches in this Aldi. This item was low in protein and made from white bread, which we avoid. If you don't mind a white wrap, however, the falafel and hummus one has 26 grams of protein for 24 grams of fat. These one-pot meals are mostly whole food based, but sadly contain coconut oil, which is bad for the heart, and the protein turned out to be surprisingly low. This Coronation chickpea curry sounds as though it might be tasty, but was disappointingly low in protein at only 11 grams total. These ready-to-eat falafels weren't much better at 13 grams of protein per pack with 24 grams of fat, mostly from rapeseed, or for our American friends, canola oil. Oatcakes can be a pretty good choice paired with hummus, but sadly these had palm oil, an unhealthy additive whose farming displaces orangutans, so many vegans avoid it. A much better choice is rye crisp breads. These were pretty low in fat with a decent amount of protein, and of course lots of lovely slow digesting carbs. They have a good range of tasty sounding hummus varieties. However, we went for the low fat version, which still had 16 grams of fat for only 9 grams of protein per 100 grams.
I ate the pot of hummus with 12 rye crisp breads, which came out to 840 calories with 29 grams of protein, 109 grams of carbohydrate, and 40 grams of fat. Asda is usually a pretty good bet for vegan products. This hoisin duck wrap, while not being wholemeal sadly, did have 16 grams of protein for only 8.5 grams of fat per pack. These cauldron ready-to-eat falafels have 9 grams of fat and 8 grams of protein per 100 grams. These Vivera kebab pieces have a very respectable 15 grams of protein for just 7 grams of fat per 100 grams and would go great in a wholemeal pitta. These 3 Quorn products in the plant-based section look promising, but barbarically contain eggs. The egg industry kills male chicks at birth, so they can right off. These bold protein-boosting soups are ridiculous. Nearly 40 grams of protein per pot and low in fat. Something like this can work well as it's low in oil, has masses of healthy ingredients, and is low enough in calories that you can add a can of legumes in. And lastly, here are 3 high-protein, low-fat items that you can make meals from. Our favourite would be to reconstitute this textured vegetable protein with water for around 4 minutes, then add to a low-fat bolognese style sauce and serve with wholemeal vermicelli, which is ready in just 3 minutes. I served the soup with 4 slices of medium wholemeal bread, which came out to 487 calories with 49 grams of protein, 67 carbs and 11 grams of fat.